Palm Sunday, the first day of Holy Week, the day that kind of kicks off Jesus' last days before heading to the cross and paying the greatest price for all of us. If you were raised in the Christian faith, if you were raised with a Christian background, chances are you're somewhat familiar with a couple days of Holy Week, particularly Good Friday and Easter Sunday. We wanted to take this opportunity to think, how can we bring a fresh perspective to Holy Week? If you were raised with this background, chances are Holy Week has lost some of its luster, and we need to bring it back and elevate it back to this position of some of the most significant, if not the most significant events in the life of a follower of Jesus. So how do we bring a fresh perspective to this? So there were some people that were talking and thought that it would be a good idea to do a quick video series looking at the days leading up to the Last Supper, leading up to Good Friday, and exploring the perspective of Jesus in these days, knowing that he knew what was coming, and yet he was faithful to what God called him to do in each and every one of those moments. And today, for the first day, we're looking at Palm Sunday. We're looking at the day when Jesus rode into Jerusalem like a king on the back of a donkey to cheers and to praise. And the story is found in Matthew 21. It says, "As Jesus and the disciples approached Jerusalem, they came to the town of Bethphage on the Mount of Olives. Jesus sent two of them on ahead. 'Go into the village over there,' he said. 'As soon as you enter it, you will see a donkey tied there with its colt beside it. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone asks what you are doing, just say, "The Lord needs them," and he will immediately let you take them.' This took place to fulfill the prophecy that said, 'Tell the people of Jerusalem, look, your king is coming to you. He is humble, riding on a donkey's colt.' The two disciples did as Jesus commanded. They brought the donkey and the colt to him and threw their garments over the colt, and he sat on it. Most of the crowd spread their garments on the road ahead of him, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. Jesus was in the center of the procession, and the people all around him were shouting, 'Praise God for the Son of David. Blessings on the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Praise God in highest heaven.' The entire city of Jerusalem was in an uproar as he entered. 'Who is this?' they asked. And the crowds replied, 'It's Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee.'" And I think one thing that we can learn from the entirety of Jesus' life that we can see, and especially in this picture, especially in Palm Sunday, it says it right here in the text, he is humble, riding on a donkey's colt. See, I think oftentimes we look at humility and we think that it's thinking less of oneself. We think humility is thinking of ourselves as less than, when that's not actually the case. Being humble is just about being obedient to the will of the Father. Being humble is just about being obedient to the will of your master. And that's exactly what Jesus did. Jesus rode in on the back of a donkey to the sounds of praises and cheers from these people that in less than a week's time, their chants of praise would turn into chants of crucify. And yet he rode on, yet he was obedient to fulfill the prophecy that the Father had put before him. And he looked at these people and he felt compassion on them. He welcomed their praise in that moment, knowing that they didn't even know who they were praising. They didn't even recognize him for who he actually was. And in these upcoming days, and these upcoming stories, and these upcoming moments, including the cross, we look at how Jesus' humility was something to be marveled at, is something to glean from, to learn from as much as we can. It's about being obedient to the will of the Father. Jesus was God. He could have imposed his own will at any point in time, and yet he chooses to submit to the will of the Father, acknowledging, yes, this is going to be difficult. This is going to be painful. I am going to experience separation from the Father, from God for the first time, and yet he submits instead of imposing his own will, for he acknowledges that his Father's will is good. And our Father's will is good for our lives as well. And when we submit to the will of the Father, He can really move.